Hey guys, this is Jay Lethal, Machismo, and woo, the Nature Boy, and you're listening to the Potsy and Tino
Show. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Potsy Network brings to you its tag team champions of the world, the Potsy and Tino Show. That's right, Tino. I'm Potsy. As always, as I went off camera for a second there, is brought to you by Adam's House Cats, called The Wrestling Song. It's available on iTunes for 99 cents. Everything okay, Tino?
It keeps wanting me to upgrade the software. They just started doing that, so I'm like, no, I don't want to upgrade it right
now. Well, we always start the show with a little segment called "What's Up with You."
Finally getting over my blasted cold that I had last week, thank God. And like I said, I knew it wasn't COVID because I took the test a couple of times. I'm gonna beat the shit out of him. But anyway, stop, son. You're being loud.
What is he doing?
He's feeding the animals and slamming stuff.
He thinks because he's a teenager now he can do that shit.
Yeah, he's about to learn it. I'm still Mufasa up in this motherfucker. But so got over the cold. I was supposed to play this weekend, but everything was draining in there, sitting and breaking up. It sounded terrible. So I go to Friday. I went to go because I was supposed to have my stress test. And I get there, and apparently they waited till I get there to tell me that they were short-staffed, so I couldn't do my stress test then. But he still wanted to meet me because it's the first time I met with his cardiologist. So you sit down and have a face-to-face. I'm like, well, when I had the EKG at my last doctor's appointment, she was like, everything's cool. He goes, well, yeah, there was a little, I guess, blip or whatever. He said it was no big thing. He said, you're on good medication and all, so you should be good. I'm like, all right. But for the next 2 weeks, so that was Friday. So until September the 9th, I want you to wear a heart monitor. And so I got to wear that thing for 2 weeks. And it's cool. It's supposed to be, doing whatever it's thinking. And if I feel myself or a palpitation, there's a button on here I can push. But I hadn't really had any problems.
So you can be the old lady from the Medical Alert commercial.
Well, it doesn't send any help. It's just like it kind of logs it. Like when I feel it, it's already logging it itself. But like I can hit that button and say, okay, at this time. So when I hit it, they'll say, okay, on August 29th at 7:30, he hit the button. So when he felt the whatever, so I'm like, whatever, dude. So when it's done, I have to put it in a box and mail it off somewhere, and then they get the readings off of it. So that's fun stuff.
So it doesn't have Wi-Fi?
No, I don't like it at all because they were like, well, it's going to start itching. I'm like, why is it going to start itching? I'm going to tell you why this motherfucker itch. Because before they put it on, they fucking shave you. And they put this adhesive thing on you. Now everything's growing back. And it's itching. And I can't get to it to scratch.
Yep.
It sucks. Did you have to wear one of these damn things?
No. Although if I went to my doctor recently, they probably would tell me that I need to. Because I don't know if I told you, when I started taking this Alpha Brain stuff from time to time, my heart rate drops tremendously. And so now twice it's dropped into the 40s.
You must stay off that Alpha Brain shit.
I think my body's getting used to it at this point. So like I haven't had that issue, but so I was looking it up. There's actually a term for it. It's called bradycardia. So they have brachycardia, which is your heart rate, it goes way up, and then they have bradycardia, which is it goes way down, and neither one's good. So I haven't talked to my doctor or anything about it because I figured I'd monitor it and see if it continues to happen before I make the decision of, okay, now I got to go to the doctor for it, that kind of thing, because I'm at that age where I hate going to the doctor, and I go to the doctor way too often. I just had another talk with the CPAP doctor. I had a televisit with my doctor. I'm doctored out right now. You know,
Joe
so.
said Joe, what kind of heart monitor did your wife have to wear? Like I said, I got to wear this thing for 2 weeks. So what does she have to do?
And by the way, hello, Michael. Hello, Joe. Hello to
Yeah.
the other people that are in the audience that aren't saying hello yet. If you're in the audience, and one of them drops off as soon as I said that, if you're in the audience,
But oh
don't
no,
be shy.
oh no,
Say hi.
he saw me. He saw me. This is in the case I bought and going on. Cool. Michael Turner's putting your comic on the wall.
Yeah, Michael picked up a one of the holofoils from me this weekend. So, and Joe, I'm assuming you got your holofoil at this point.
I was planning on when I came over there today to get one from you. I was going to Venmo you or whatever, but yeah, I want to get one too.
But you didn't come over here.
No, did it look like that, Joe? Can't see my camera.
See, at least with Joe's wife, they probably didn't have to shave her chest.
They didn't have to.
At least I hope
They didn't
not.
they didn't have to. They didn't have to shave much on my chest because I'm not really a hairy person.
Oh, Joe said his to get graded. Awesome. I know that originally I was going to charge extra for the signatures on those books, but I figured for you guys I was going to hook you up with autographs. So hope you guys enjoyed that. So
And Joe said no, they didn't have to shave his wife's chest.
I love that he actually took that as a joke rather than be insulted. Joe, I want to give you a heads up and an update. I'm going to let Tino continue with his what's up with him first, but I've got an update about Kentucky, and it's not looking good. So I'm going to have to try to reach out again. But Tino, what else? You got the heart monitor.
I got the heart. That's about the most exciting part of this week, and back to work. I'm looking forward to my 3-day weekend. I can't wait.
So it's my favorite time of year, Tino, because the Oktoberfest beers are out.
Oh yeah.
So I get to try one tonight. This is Foothills Oktoberfest. Here we go. That's a good Marzen right there. That's a good one. And
is that a dark?
What's that?
Is that a dark like a lager kind of dark beer?
So yeah. So a Marzen's very similar to a lager, but it's got a darker flavor to it in a lot of cases. But it almost has hints of like chocolate and stuff like that in there. But a lot of times Marzens will have like pumpkin spice in them because that time of year, where everything starts having pumpkin spice. But I love pumpkin beers, which is funny because I started drinking pumpkin beers before I ever tried pumpkin pie because I just never liked the consistency look of a pumpkin pie.
I don't like pumpkin. I don't like pumpkin pie either. I was telling Nicole we were in Costco the other day and I got excited. They had this big. I'm like, oh, is that a sweet potato pie? Ugh, that's a fucking pumpkin pie. I'm like, I told her I almost got in a fight with my friends. I went to his house and they said they had I thought it was sweet potato pie. And I got a piece and I'm eating. I'm like, what is this? And there's like, that's pumpkin pie. I'm like, oh, I thought it was sweet potato. They're like, ew, sweet potato, pumpkin pie is better than sweet potato. I'm like, I will punch you in your mouth right now in your house.
No, I'll tell you. So I never wanted to try pumpkin pie because of how it looked, right? But a couple years ago, I finally did try it, and I was like, man, 40-something years and I didn't eat this and I actually like it, like but
we can't be friends anymore, Joe.
So right before we went on the air, Tino, some big news happened.
That's
breaking news. Bum, 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 bum.
Is that a paid position? No. Okay.
So I'll say my contracted deal. So for those that don't know, I'm assuming that everybody's already seen it. Pumpkin pie is the best.
That's why I said. That's why I told him we can't be friends anymore.
The news that broke earlier today was that KeenSpot has promoted me to associate editor. Now in each of the books where you see the credit line for the publisher and CEO and president of the company. Now next to that it says associate editor and it says Rob Pochak. So my name will be listed in all the books. One of the really cool things about the position is that I'd pretty much already been doing it. Like I edited half the line of books anyway, so it was like now I just want to have my name in the books, like credited for what I'm doing for the company. But I've brought a lot of people with me, so like from Eric Kent from Junior High Horrors to Eric Klaus, who does Ninjas and Robots, to Griffin Ray, who does Kantara Stone, to Mario White, who does Sister Powers, to Troy Dungara now, who worked on Mandalorian with me. Now he's doing Kid Slapshot. So a bunch of creators, and now Tim Seeley, based on Troy coming along. Now we've got Tim Seeley, who does a book called Hack Slash. He's written things like Nightwing for DC Comics. So a bunch of different books that he's done. Now he's actually working with Keenspot as well. So all of those projects. Oh, and of course Billy Parker. I can't forget him. The guy that without him, Junior High Horrors wouldn't be here. Him and Eric. I already mentioned Eric, but Billy also did D Ward, which was another book that I edited. So all things considered, like I said, I was already editing half the line of books anyway. So now my name's going to be listed as everything. But a major press release went out for it, and it's been getting picked up by a bunch of the different comic sites. Just about an hour ago, we sent it out at like noonish. And like about an hour ago is when all of a sudden all the news sites started picking it up and putting it on the news site. So, but it basically means that for me, what it means, and part of my deal with everybody that I bring on board at Keenspot is, if any of the projects were to get picked up to be a TV show, a movie, or anything else, I become involved with that property as well. So and from my dealings with talking to people about Junior High Horrors becoming something or whatever, I basically learned that the properties as they get picked up, anybody who's had their hand in them gets a slice of the pie. So the more projects I
Makes
bring,
sense.
the more projects I bring, the better chance I actually have of getting a piece of the pie, right? So it's one of those things where, like, we can joke and talk about, like, am I getting paid? And per each project, I have a different deal in place that I edit the book. So, I mean, like, some of them I get 10% of their profit. Some of them I get a dollar amount, so I mean, like, I do get paid. It's just, it's not enough to leave my day job.
That's what I was asking.
The good news is it is something where I can do this job as well as my day job and not have any issues with conflict of interest or anything else. So like I'm up long hours anyway, so it just makes it easier for me to continue doing editing, doing marketing, and emailing out to different comic shops and stuff to try to poise the books for success. The other neat thing, and you know what, I'll go with the down news so far. So as of right now, Joe, it does not look like we'll be back. Well, that I'll be back at Scarefest, because I haven't heard back from Nicole, the woman who owns the show. I'm gonna try a different email address to send her something to ask, just because I've been sending it from my Junior High Horrors email address, and I don't know if it's going to her spam email or if like I'm not getting the emails back and it's going to something like that. So I'm gonna try sending it from my main account and see whether or not we can set something up. But the other good news is a couple of the books that I recently did covers for, so Kid Slapshot, and then more recently the second issue of Kid Slapshot, called Kid Slapshot versus Major Extreme. My cover is already sold out at distribution level for the first book. And then the second one is actually the second most ordered one behind the regular cover of the book. So it's pretty cool to see that, like some of the stuff is coming out there and getting a little more recognition than it was. Because, I had been telling you that I like doing like the Frank Miller style covers for the books, and his is a kid's book, but it's a kid's book that I did like a Frank Miller black and white, like really cool cover for. And like the traction that it got was that comic shops, like with it being the 30th anniversary of Sin City from Frank Miller, anything that looks like Sin City has people picking it up because they're like, okay, this looks cool because they're making fun of Frank Miller or whatever. And I'm not making fun; it's an homage. So, but I was pretty excited about that, and then to see that cover actually did as well as it did, I was pretty happy with that. And even my cover for Biden's Titans versus Elon Musk did pretty decent numbers. So I mean, like, some pretty cool stuff going on there. So anyway, I've been writing. I've been doing a lot of design work for Immortal. Just got the third page in yesterday, so I've got the first 3 pages of that now. But the big news obviously was that like not just editor Rob Pochak. Now I'm associate editor at KeenSpot. So not just freelancing editor. Now I actually have a position with them. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That is awesome.
Yep. So and then Junior High Horrors, the anniversary edition, the monster sized anniversary edition goes to print this week. So it should be in stores in about 2 to 3 weeks. So technically it's going to be later than it was solicited for, but it's still going to come out in September. So I mean, like, it's perfect in time for Halloween. And then, like I told you, the orders ended up like doubling in the last week for that book. So I'm pretty excited about what's going on with that. So yeah. So and then last thing, I've been talking about the different horror stories that I want to do for my X49 label of horror books, and I came up with another one.
Distillery. I saw that.
Yeah, well, I didn't tell you. So that's the name of it, and I just think that the name's cool, right? But the concept for it, I'm going to hold on to this one a little bit because the couple people, and I'll tell Tino off air, but I can't say it on YouTube yet because someone else will steal it and do it. But it's a pretty original idea, so I'm pretty excited about it. Because a lot of this stuff, that I've been trying to do or whatever, like a lot of it sounds like, okay, this sounds like this, or this sounds like this, like The Witch in the Walls doesn't really sound like anything either. That's kind of like its own concept too. But
Telltale Heart.
What's that?
Telltale Heart? No.
I mean, I guess any horror is probably at least a little bit influenced by Poe. Like, why wouldn't it be? But I don't think so. I think it's more, just anything that it's probably more like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, or what's the other one with not Dr. Sleep, but the other one from that, the Stephen King one where he goes to the hotel. That's probably the closest.
What you're talking about. Not The Shining?
The Shining.
No, The Shining.
That's probably the closest thing to what that actually is, because the building itself comes to life, right? And starts like making him go crazy and deal with his alcoholism and everything else, right? So
here's Johnny.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm pretty excited about that. Obviously, I've got to get some of these other things written before but at least I'm putting ideas down and doing stuff like that. But I've been doing a lot of different artwork recently, and I'm working on a cover for the Scorn book. And then I've done a couple arty pieces that I've put up on my Instagram and whatever. And it's really got me thinking that I might start up my Patreon again, so that I can get people to sit there and like, pay me a couple bucks a month to see like what's going on with the artwork. But I kind of want to grow my audience before I do that. The other cool thing, and about Immortal, is that KeenSpot allows us to do like crowdfunding. So because there's not a lot of well, right now with paper prices where they are, there's not a lot of profit in comic books. So to make money on the project and to possibly start doing it full time, I got to figure out a way to do this, right? So doing crowdfunding or whatever, where like we would talk about it every week on the show here, but the idea that like one of the characters right now we just call T, like I haven't named the character at all. So the idea is that like anybody who wants to can actually pay to get the naming rights of that character. So if Joe decided he wanted to name it after his wife, he could pay for that character, and she's actually a pretty major character in the story. So like we would probably say, okay, for $250 you get to name the character. You can't dictate what happens to the character. You won't dictate what the character looks like or anything, but you'd be able to have the naming rights to the character and a little special thank you to you in the book when it comes out that says you named the character,
250 bucks. Damn.
That's pretty cheap. I mean, think about it. If the thing were to become a movie and all of
Do
a
they
sudden,
get part of it?
well,
Do you
no,
get a part of that?
no, but you'd know that the character was named after you.
Yeah,
And
true.
this is one of those things where after, like I said, in the issues of the book, it would say special thanks to, crowdfunding partner, blah, 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 for the naming of the character. So it's totally one of those things that people, for example, remember the movie Wanted?
Yes.
About the kid who all of a sudden realizes he's like, like a super villain's son, and all of
Is
a
that the
sudden,
one? Is that the one that you just shoot sideways and all
yeah,
that
he
stuff with
sideways bullets and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that character's name is Wesley in it. Well, Wesley wasn't the original name of the character. They bought, they sold the rights to the name of the character, and that writer now actually has like a lifetime deal with Netflix. So all of his stuff is now owned by Netflix or whatever. But he got paid, but I mean, I think someone paid like they auctioned it off, and it was like 10 grand to get the naming rights of that character, right? So and then he also did it with like Kingsman. So like and for a while there, that's what he did, was he would sit there and auction that stuff off. He'd give a portion of it to charity or whatever, and then the rest of it would go to him because there's not a lot of money in comic books, right? So
Wow.
but so that's we're planning a couple things. Obviously we've got some time because we're probably not even going to launch until probably March or April of next year. But the idea and the concept there is that like we'll do 2 special covers that are only like Kickstarter only. So you can't get them in comic shops. You can't get them by you might be able to get them by seeing me at a convention, but you're going to pay top dollar for that one because it's only going to be printed to the amount that people actually order, right? So
Top dollar.
yeah, exactly, top dollar. We'll talk about him shortly, I'm sure. But so the idea there, and like I said, the concept with that is that those 2 books would probably be $20 each because they might be holofoil covers or they might be, but they're going to have different artwork than any of the other covers that you can get in a comic book shop. Right. So it's going to be a specialty edition that is going to be even more limited than the ones that you buy in the comic shops.
Cool.
Yeah. So and then, we'll probably do a poll and figure out like what other types of things we need to do with it. Do we need to do bookmarks? Do we need to do stickers? Do we need to do posters? Like what kind of different objects people would actually want as like bonus items if it hits certain tiers and whatever for it. So, but this way we're hoping that Rob Nico and myself can actually make some money on the book because it's a good book and I want to keep doing it. But if the book isn't making any money, we make decisions on stuff like that. So
yeah.
And Joe's been saying that he's been looking forward to it. And he's been looking at all the artwork that I've been posting. And one of the concepts and ideas that I came up with last night just randomly was, man, I keep doing all this promo artwork for Immortal and I'm not even drawing the book. Like maybe I put out an art book to go with it, so like if someone orders, if the book hits a certain price point in terms of crowdfunding, then all of a sudden we unlock a art book that'll be printed by me that'll be sent out to everybody that orders a certain amount, or orders up to a certain dollar amount on the stuff. So some pretty cool stuff and pretty cool ideas there. So I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah. so that's really what's going on with me.
I've
You
been
know,
binge watching Chucky.
the first season.
Yeah, the second season ain't out yet, so I'm on episode
Now, what
five
are
or
you watching
six
it on?
now.
Is it on Peacock? Okay, I watched like the first two episodes and I was like, okay, this is really weird.
It's good. It gets
Well,
good.
well, and it's the original Chucky too.
Yeah, it's the guy's voice, and later on, I don't want to spoil it, but they bring Tiffany, they bring back the paraplegic.
I,
Yeah, they bring
I
back up.
well, I saw Jennifer Tilly basically saying that she just finished filming all of her scenes for the second one, and she
Yeah,
posted a picture of her with just blood all over her, and I was like,
dude,
oh boy.
it's getting good. It's getting good. So I decided, just last night, I'm like, you know,
I thought that
I
was
want to.
so weird. I thought it was so weird that they did a brand new movie and then they did this TV show which goes back to the old version of it.
Well, they did. Yeah, they want nothing to do with the brand new movie. This one is like years after. It's supposed to be after Cult of Chucky. So after that movie, this is where it kind of picks up. And a lot of this, I don't know how. And you said you're on 2 episodes. A lot of it is having back like flashbacks. So it's showing Chucky's origin story pretty much,
Right, right.
or Charlie, whatever, Chuck Ray, whatever his
Charlie.
origin, how he became. It's
So,
good. It's good.
so Joe just mentioned that he bought a tier in Shane Davis's upcoming book to put his dad's likeness as a character. So see, it is something that people do. And Shane Davis,
I'd never heard of that. That's cool though. That's
yeah.
cool.
Joe Shane Davis is an amazing artist. So I love his stuff. I know that he's part of that group that I won't mention on my YouTube channel. Which I'm sure will bring a smile to your face, just me even mentioning that. But he is an amazing talent, and I wish that guys like him would go back to doing the mainstream stuff. But I understand that there's a lot more money when you've made your name in mainstream to be able to go and start doing stuff like that. I mean, even it's weird to me that you have things like Artists Elite coming out now with Brett Booth and Tyler Kirkham and all these other guys, knowing that they probably could have kickstarted these books instead of doing them through, trying to self-publish at this point. But anyways, yeah. So you're watching Chucky. I'm about 3 episodes away from my second viewing of the entire series of Billions. And I'll tell you, man, like it. So they're in season 6. Okay, season 6 ended, and they're getting ready for season 7. But season 5 was split in half because of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
It's so weird when you watch it straight through because it doesn't really click.
Yeah.
Especially because like the one character that they filmed with, Damian Lewis, the one of the main characters for the first, well, at this point I can go ahead and say it, for the first 5 seasons of it. He's a British actor, so like in the last couple episodes, he's stuck in Britain, so they've got a film crew filming him, and they've got a film crew in New York filming all the New York scenes without him, and they play it off as, oh, I got stuck with COVID, so I can't be in the office, but he's got a giant TV screen that you keep seeing him on. And it's just a really odd dichotomy considering, like how other things, how the show was going before that. And then towards the end of that 5th season, there are a couple scenes where they end up having the two characters interact with each other again. And it's like, how did they do, like did they finally get the okay to bring him back over to the States? Did they figure out a way to, because it wasn't CGI or anything. It's literally the two characters standing next to each other. But
So could they fly? I guess they couldn't fly that person to Britain or to London.
Yeah, I mean, so they had to wait until like restrictions were lifted and whatever to be able to do
Yeah.
that. And actually, it's one of the reasons why Damian Lewis left the show is because he said he wanted to be closer to his family because his wife passed away like during the filming of that season. Apparently not COVID related, but his wife passed away, so he was like, I want to spend more time with my kids and everything. So now he's doing a show for BBC that's supposed to start where he plays like a British intelligence agent, and he's supposed to have like he's supposed to be co-working with like an American spy, and like they keep like tricking each other or whatever is like the concept behind it. So I don't know. I'm pretty excited about that. Joe, the Hellraiser thing, I don't know how I feel about it. And in my personal life, there's a reason why I'm not really a big Hellraiser fan at the moment. But I'm sure because it'll be on Hulu that I'll give it a shot because I watch, almost all their shows. Like I just finished the Orville, and Star Trek: Strange New Worlds on Paramount. I just finished that, and I just finished Evil. Evil finally finished, Tino, for season 3.
Oh, I gotta go back and watch that. So here's my question. I'm watching Chucky, and it's just like watching a show on HBO. They're saying fuck, they're saying shit. I'm like,
Yeah.
were they saying this on TV?
So USA after 10 o'clock at night now does get away with some stuff.
So how come? How
You
come?
raising your hands?
Yeah, because I don't understand. They'll show that on Peacock because they're fucking shit and cut, but they edited all the damn WWE Network content.
Well, remember WWE now is PG, and we'll talk
So
about
all the
Monday
stuff.
Night Raw, where
Oh yeah, all the but all the stuff on the network, they watered it down, but they're letting Chucky say "fuck you" and shit and.
so I think it's because they the WWE presents themselves as a TV PG product. And I
But
know when you watch Chucky on Peacock, it's TVMA. It might be TV 14 when it's played on USA.
it's MA on it's MA on Peacock.
Yeah, so I mean
I
it's it's meant
okay,
to, so
gotcha.
so
Okay,
whereas none of the WWE, I mean the WWE program's never been over TV 14. And it's I would say that it's probably all dependent on the restrictions of what their what Peacock's TV 14 ratings allow for. Does that make sense?
yeah, okay,
um
yeah.
now
Because
now
last night I.
go ahead.
Oh
Yeah,
no, we're
we'll,
talking about,
we'll obviously get to that.
I was the whole time I was like, I rewound it. I'm like,
so
because
the other thing that I watched this week, I watched the new episode of Sandman that popped up because they added an 11th episode to it.
I got to catch up on those too.
That whole show was just phenomenal.
It is so far, yeah.
And then I watched Star Trek Lower Decks, the first episode of season 3 of that. It's a cartoon that like is very, I mean, it's so meta, and it's so like it so makes fun of Star Trek. Like the very first episode is called Second Contact because like First Contact is when you send someone like Kirk or whatever to the planet, or Picard, to sit there and make make relations with a new civilization. But Second Contact is like when you go and you like have to clean up the mess that happens after First Contact. So this episode was all about how, like, for whatever reason, the captain's in a lot of trouble. So the captain's in the brig, and she's getting ready to be court-martialed and all this other stuff. And her daughter's one of her ensigns, right? So she's one of the people that's on the ship, and they're all docked. So she basically goes to all of her friends and says, "We've got to figure out a way to get the captain out of trouble." And so they're like, "Well, we're docked. We can't get into space. We can't get on the ship because the ship is in space and we're down here." So they try to break into a transporter museum so that they can be transported up. And that doesn't work because the guy, the old man sitting in there, they're like, we're gonna have to go in there. We're gonna have to knock him out, and then we're gonna have to like quickly like get up to the ship before he wakes up, right? Well, of course, he's like everybody's grandpa, so he's sitting there so nice and everything. He's like, "Would you guys like a cup of tea?" And all of a sudden he's like, "Would you like a butterscotch?" And they're like, "Man, we really can't. I can't do it. You're gonna have to knock him out." And then all of a sudden he turns around and he goes, "You kids weren't thinking about trying to knock an old man out and use this transporter to get onto a ship somewhere, were you? Because that wouldn't be good. so so then all of a sudden he sits there and he's like, and I can't transport you anyway because there's some sort of like weird alien race that's floating through and they always seem to disrupt the transporter and all this crazy shit, right? So, and I'm gonna ruin the whole episode for everybody, but
Oh my gosh.
basically they get transported to the place where first contact happened, right? And if you ever watched the movie Star Trek First Contact, it had an actor by the name of James Cromwell
Okay.
playing the guy that actually created the first warp drive, right?
Right.
So they go to they go to where he did that, and it's now like Disney World. So it's a theme park based on First Contact.
Shut up.
And they have a ship that you can get onto and it sends you into orbit, right? Because in the future that would be what you do at a theme park, right? Like you actually go in a ship into orbit. Well, the hologram comes on and it turns around and it's the guy that created the warp drive. And he's like, all right, everybody buckle up. Let's head up into space. And they're like, oh, we're sorry, Mr. Zebediah. And they like turn the thing off so that they can steal the ship.
It sounds so stupid.
It's so funny though because they actually got James Cromwell to do the voice of his character again. So he's literally like, when you go to Disney World, it's like you're going to do Distant Earth or whatever, and Gary Sinise is sitting there telling you to buckle up and make sure that you're ready for the G's.
Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah, exactly. But or when you go on Soarin' and they got Patrick Warburton sitting there going, all right, everybody, we're gonna fly up there and we're gonna, like.
I love Soarin'.
So he's actually the hologram in the ship turning around to be like, everybody keep your hands and your feet in the ship. So they even interviewed him afterwards, and he's like, I love it so much, man. Like with animation, I can screw up all the time, and they can fix all of it. Like I could look 150, and it's not gonna matter. Like they can still make me look like the guy I was in the TV show, and it's just awesome. But yeah, so I've been watching that. But Tino, the other thing that I've actually been watching a little bit more of recently.
What's that?
Professional wrestling.
Cool. And I'm listening to you. I'm trying to get all the results while you're talking so I can be ready to, because I don't remember. I watched so much.
Well, we start with NXT 2.0, Tino, and with NXT 2.0, there was a Dexter Lumis sighting.
Was this the one where he came back in the ring? I get them confused. They're running together. Oh, hi, Andrew.
Thank you for that, Andrew. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we were talking about the me being promoted by KeenSpot like earlier in the episode because my phone's been getting blown up by it. Still is actually, so I had to put my phone somewhere else so that it didn't keep making the sounds and everything. But welcome to the show. We're getting ready to talk about pro wrestling at this point. But keep an eye out for new KeenSpot projects because we're looking for new things and new cool projects to take a look at. So,
so let's go in order. I guess we can do because that's kind of towards the end what you're talking about, and I'm excited about that.
All right, well, that's all I know that happened. So go ahead.
Remember, I texted you, and I'm like, look, looks like they are.
Oh yeah. So you were saying that with NXT they're doing the NXT Worlds Collide because they announced that they're going to be shutting down NXT UK for a little while, but they're going to combine all of the titles.
It looks like it. So they're combining right now. So far, they're going to be combining. Braun Breaker was out in the ring doing his thing, and Tyler Bate, what happened to Trent Seven? I thought they were Mustache Mountain.
I did too, but like they let like 14 of the guys and the girls go.
So Tyler Bate's their champion over at NXT UK. So he came out, and then they were like,
Dragunov.
It's Tyler Bate. And He's like, yeah, we want to see who's the best in NXT, and they're raising their belt. So they're fighting at the Worlds Collide to unify the NXT and the NXT UK title. Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs, I think, are going to be fighting Gallus or fighting somebody to unify the NXT tag eventually. I don't know if they're doing it at Worlds Collide, but the tag and that title.
I
Then
would think that they're doing it there.
Grayson Waller had his Grayson Waller effect with Apollo Crews, and he ended up getting his ass whooped. Kevin Grimes came out.
Although Apollo Crews did get asked like what happened to his accent.
Yes, that was so funny. Just like Kofi, didn't you used to be Jamaican? So Blair Davenport, who's another import from NXT UK, came out and she fought Indy Hartwell. She beat Indy Hartwell. Then Mandy Rose came out because Blair Davenport was talking on his smack about she's the best at NXT. She wanted Mandy Rose. Mandy Rose came out to confront her. And then apparently the NXT Women's Champion, and I can't pronounce her name. She is Miko Satomura.
Okay.
I think is the NXT Women's Champion. So her and NXT UK. So her and Mandy were going to fight, and then that Blair Davenport's like, "Hey, I'm the number one contender for the NXT UK." So she got entered into it. So it's a three-way dance, winner takes all.
Okay, so that's a way to get the belt off of Mandy.
Yeah, and then Index unites that Mandy. Did you watch the show?
No.
Indy is just sitting on the edge.
I did see that moment.
Okay,
so I sent it to you on Twitter.
Yeah, so she's sitting on the edge of the ring and just like, I don't know why I try. Everybody that I love leaves me. Da 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 da. And she's sitting there with her back to the entrance ramp, and then people start cheering. And all of a sudden, I don't know if she got the feeling. She just turned around, and there he was. And they do the whole.
They did. They did the crab crawl.
And then they get up and he carries her out again. I like at the end where he tells her goodbye. He's standing there outside the door. And the cops come. He leaves her. He's just standing looking at each other.
Storyline going.
Yeah. So he's standing there, right? So he leaves her a note saying, "Goodbye, Indy. I will always love you." She looks up and he's just standing there looking at like through this glass door. And then the cops come up and they handcuff him. And he nods. They take him away. They take him away. Dude, it's still hilarious. It's still
ridiculous.
Hilarious. So I don't know if she'll get called up to be with him on the main roster, or if they were just like having closure to that storyline. I don't know what they're doing. And then Legado del Fantasma lost to the Dyad, but at the end of that match, they were all pissed off and they were walking out. And then Santos rolled up and was like, "You didn't think I would leave you, did you?" And they all got the SUV and drove off. So I think they're getting called up too.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Oh, and then then there was Tyler Bate and Von Wagner. That was an interesting match. Tyler Bate beat him. But then the match, Wendy Chu and Tiffany Stratton in a lights out match, which was actually a good match. It's Wendy Chu did not come out as her normal. She came out serious, you know what I mean? She still did some of her signature spots that she does, but she didn't come out all.
And she's still wearing a Snuggie.
She didn't. She took the Snuggie off, so
what?
she was wearing an actual. I don't know if you can see.
No, I can't see it.
Can you see it now?
Not really.
So she's actually wearing like a top and shorts. She was actually had wrestling gear and boots on. So, and that was NXT. So Worlds Collide. So it's going to be an interesting weekend for wrestling because you got Worlds Collide is, I think they're both Saturday. Worlds Collide and the Clash are both Saturday.
Yeah.
And then we got All Out Sunday.
Right.
So I already told my wife, I'm like, that's another reason why I'm here tonight. Because I'm like, I'm probably going to go to Rob and watch one of these pay-per-views. I'll probably come and watch the AEW.
Interesting.
If you're going to get it.
Well, you know, we figured out that way to watch those together without watching together.
Yeah, but you end up snoring.
Only when I'm that bored.
You were not bored, whatever.
Well, I'll tell you. So we'll go ahead and we'll move this on to Dynamite. I'm going to tell you that I don't have as much interest in this AEW pay-per-view because it really feels like their last-minute booking on it. And when I say last minute booking, I mean like a week ago, I didn't care if I was getting Bryan Danielson versus Chris Jericho. Now I know it's going to be a great match, but at the same time, I don't like. There's no story there for me.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any.
Like we're going to find out what the main event is tomorrow night. So 4 days before the pay-per-view, 5 days before the pay-per-view, that's when we find out what the main event is. Like, there's something wrong there.
So, and you text me because I didn't. I was like watching something else with Nicole, so I didn't actually get to see it live. So you text me, you're like, "What the hell?" Was that? And then I went back and watched it, and I text you about like, "What the fuck was that?" That is about That's about the thing that sticks out to me most from last week's show, and I think that was the first match of the show. No,
it was not. It
Garcia,
happened
yeah.
at the clock hour. So it happened. It happened at the
So
mark.
my question is that a work or a shoot? You think he really hurt his foot again, or you think they're having problems with him and they're trying to get that belt off of him?
I don't think it's either of those things. I think tomorrow we're going to end up finding out that they're going to do a rematch. And this was a way that CM Punk, if they decide to go with CM Punk winning the world title, he gets to win in Chicago. So he walks in as the challenger, he walks out as the champion. And giving it away on free TV in a quick, he wasn't ready to come back thing allows them to sit there and kind of sell the story a little bit. And it was shock value, right? Like the last time we got that kind of match on free TV was like Goldberg versus Hogan, which was only like a 6-minute match. And it was only like a 6-minute match because Scott Hall came down and interfered. And I think Raven came down and interfered too during that match. Like it was like just send everybody, but I'm just not interested in it though. Like they didn't do anything to sell me on the idea of if they decide to go with a rematch that he deserves it. Like he lost in 3 minutes and 1 second. And there were flurries and everything else that made it look like it could go either way for the first 3 minutes. But that 1 second or 2 minutes and 56 seconds.
And it ended so weird though. That whole match was weird.
I concur. But before that, they were starting to set up the whole Jericho versus Bryan Danielson, which this week they're going to have Danielson versus Jake Hager. So Jake Hager gets to take another L. Like has he won a singles match in AEW yet?
I don't think. I got a feeling, and it might go back to the 5-year-old me that we always talk about. We think that Hager's going to take that L, but what if the society jumps on and causes a DQ or something like that in order for, I guess, Bryan to overcome Jericho on Sunday?
Yeah, I guess Jericho could disrupt him and cause him to lose that match, which I guess would be okay because I'd be okay with I'd be okay with Hager getting a win, and it's not like Danielson needs to beat him, especially if it's done in dastardly fashion, right? So it'll be interesting though on Sunday whether or not Daniel Garcia actually turns on Jericho completely. Like do they add another member to the Blackpool Combat Club? Do they? Does he trick Bryan Danielson by making Danielson think that he respects him and blah blah blah, and then he hits Danielson with a chair. Like there's so many different things that they could do. The unfortunate thing, even with that, is that if you hit Danielson with a chair, you could hit Danielson in the knee with a chair, and you might give him a concussion.
MJF, you think he comes back Sunday?
I don't care. Like at this point, we should have gotten a rumbling. And I loved last Monday night when Johnny Gargano showed up in Toronto and there was nothing that said he was going to be there ahead of time. Loved it. I love surprises like that. Jericho used to be the king of those, where all of a sudden it'd be like man, there haven't been any Jericho sightings in like 6-8 months. You know, where's he? And then all of a sudden, break the wall down, and you're like, oh shit, he's here. You know, like wow. You know, like when we got Kyle O'Reilly when we went to the AEW show. You know, like those types of surprises are great. Although we kind of knew that Kyle O'Reilly was going to be there. You know, like it's great seeing that kind of stuff, and it definitely adds something to the to what the product is. And right now you're getting a lot of that with WWE because anybody that wasn't signed to a contract all of a sudden is being contacted by WWE, and they're starting to show back up. Karrion Kross showing up with Scarlett. Like I was like, it's Sting, but it wasn't Sting, it was Scarlett, you know. And then obviously you had Dakota Kai and IYO Sky show up.
EO Sky, yeah.
Yeah, Io Sky and Dakota Kai, and but Io is now spelled IYO instead of IO.
Yeah,
which is just weird. Like they're like, yeah, this week let's add an extra letter to it. You know,
well, we already changed her name.
We already changed her name, but you know what? Let's go ahead and add another letter to it this time.
And there's rumors coming back that Theory's getting the Austin back.
Well, and as seen last night, you know, we're not even talking about that show yet, but as seen last night, Matt Riddle is now Matt Riddle again. So Triple H undoing some of the dumb things, like maybe Big E comes back as Big E Langston. We don't know right now, you know. But anyways, here's my biggest problem with what they did with that world title match. So the world title match on Dynamite garnered a 1.2 million viewers. Okay,
damn,
it's the highest rated segment that they've had since the CM Punk segment, where CM Punk was introduced on Rampage, which did 1.3. Immediately after that match, Tino, they dropped to 1 million viewers
because they pissed people off.
They lost 200,000 viewers after that 3-minute segment. And on top of that, the biggest issue I had with it was they went right to
trying to find
the Christian Cage versus Jungle Boy thing, which was one of their hottest angles going in, and nobody cared. Like, it lost everything. Nobody was paying attention to it. And then the rest of it, like, and then by the time they finally got to the main event, which was the trios match, Death Triangle versus the New Japan guys, Will Ospreay and his circuit of people. That match was absolutely a banger and phenomenal. Okay.
Nobody cared.
People did care, but they were still sitting there in shock. So it wasn't like if you go back and just watch that match by itself, it was
awesome.
Holy shit!
It was awesome. I watched it. Yeah.
And by the way, that was the 7th day in a row that Will Ospreay had wrestled in different countries. Like, he'd been all over the place wrestling, and he put on that kind of shit.
Will Ospreay is fucking phenomenal. Because what was that? He had him and Ricochet had the fucking match of the century.
Well, those two had a very over choreographed match because it was all the flips and everything else. Where all of a sudden they both did the superhero pose and everything else, and you're like, just fucking wrestle, you know? Like, yeah, it's cute, just fucking wrestle. Anyway,
shit, I enjoy it.
But overall, Dynamite was a pretty good show, except for what the fuck happened right in the middle, right? So, okay. Now the question is, was he upset still? And you know, does he, you know, with that, does he still like does he get a rematch at the pay-per-view? Do they go a different angle and actually have Hangman win the title at the pay-per-view and keep CM Punk off the pay-per-view in Chicago, where the entire night you'll hear nothing but CM Punk chants? You know, do you have MJF come out to Cult of Personality and sit there and say, you guys are idiots because he's not here tonight? You know, like that's the way that you win back the, you know, that you beat up the crowd there, and you tell them, we run our show, you don't run our show, right? But anyways, don't know if MJF's coming back. Really don't care right now. Like I think that they put the fire out, and I'm not as interested as I was. I didn't want him back 2 weeks later, but we're like 4 months now.
Yeah.
You know? SmackDown.
I think that SmackDown was good, but I think the best part, and I think I sent you, might have been on the TikTok, where Sammy's in there talking to him because I'm doing the dance, and he had Roman and Jey Uso crack.
I loved when Roman was like, "Is that the dance?
This is the dance."
Like he's like, "Yeah, I do."
And Jay's trying his hardest. He's that I'm waiting for that to explode, but right now, that's entertaining.
That moment had me rethinking when Austin was trying to get the pop out of the Undertaker.
Oh, when they were talking, and he's repeating everything Vince said. He said, if you touch me again, he said, you do that again, I'm gonna knock you out.
but he's sitting there like,
yeah,
you know, like
bring them down our necks.
I mean, I've been saying it since Sammy came back just over 2 years ago. You know, like at SummerSlam, he's the fucking MVP of that show, man. Like, and now the fact that he's interacting, like he literally is the Kurt Angle to Roman Reigns as Austin. Like, just give him the small cowboy hat. You know, just give him the small cowboy hat and let him run with it. SmackDown was solid again. I you know, like last week though, like nothing was going to compete with Monday Night Raw. Like Dynamite tried to, but then Dynamite tried to shock us rather than give us a real match.
And Monday Night Raw did it again.
Well, and Rampage, I didn't watch. Rampage. Tino's gonna look it up for everybody.
I did. I don't. But like I said, it all runs together.
Yeah, there's too damn much wrestling now.
Rampage. Shoot. But I'm enjoying Hook. But you know, Hook's always been my dude.
Yep.
And you're not impressed by Hook.
I didn't say I'm not impressed by Hook. Hook actually does impress me. I just, at this point, what are you doing with him? Like, you can't give him, you can't put him in a match against Wardlow because Wardlow would destroy him, right? So you can't have him win the TNT title. They kind of played out the Danhausen Hook thing with Hookhausen already. They didn't even really go up against the Ass Boys like you wanted them to. And they just disbanded Team Taz without Hook being the guy that did it. Yeah. So it's like,
so they had the Dark Order against the House of Black for the trios advance thing. And House of Black was cheating, of course, because they had What's Her Face coming out there, and then all of a sudden Darby's music hits, and him and Sting come out. So everybody at the table. Everybody at the table was like, it started with what's the dude's name with the mask? The announcer with the mask.
Yeah,
but he started. He goes, Excalibur's like, it's Sting, and then here's JR, it's Sting, and Tony Schiavone goes, no, it goes like this, it's Sting. It was so funny, all three of them. And Tony's like, no, it goes like this, and he did his, it's Sting. So that made me pop. So they helped.
Speaking about Excalibur, what is William Regal's like man crush on Excalibur?
He calls them all names, Mr. Man in the Mask. You're such a scutie pudding. I'm like, what the hell is that? That's right. Miro. That's what happened. Miro came out to try to assist the Dark Order because the House of Black was cheating, and they jumped on Miro, and that's when Darby and Sting came out. So remember last week was I don't know if it's on Rampage or it might have been on Dynamite where what's the dude's name? The Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Ange were talking shit about Hook and how he can't we'll take that belt off you. You can't take the pressure, right? So the lady was trying to interview Hook. She's like, so last week, did you hear? Did you hear that they challenged you and they were talking shit? He goes, yeah, and I don't care. And he walked away. Now he literally walked out of screenshot, and they walked up and they're like, yeah, we heard what Hook said, and you can tell Hook this. And she goes, dude, he's like 5 feet. She said this like, he's 5 feet away, right? He can still hear you. Oh, it's just some of those one-liners like that's just comedy gold. Just like she goes, he's 5 feet away. He's right there.
Yeah, I love when they do stuff like that because it's a way for them to make it look like they're breaking kayfabe without breaking kayfabe.
Yeah.
Right?
And
but
then
so I mean, like Rampage, I don't know if you've noticed, but the ratings for it are actually below NXT ratings now.
Yeah.
Which is pretty surprising and kind of sad for what they're doing. Although I guess a 10 o'clock program on Friday nights
after SmackDown.
Well, but see, you would think that SmackDown doing 2.4 million this week would have led to them being able to pull some of that over. But what we're realizing is now all of a sudden like Rampage is becoming like Shotgun Saturday Night.
Yeah, because you had baby baby Dolph going against Wardlow.
Yeah, because he deserved that match.
Yeah.
So anyway, Tino.
So it's not really. And then Jay Cargill, what was a good match, and I was surprised that it was as good as it was Claudio defending his title against Dustin. That was a banger match.
Sure.
I mean, it's better than I thought it was going to be.
I mean, Dustin is still a good hand.
Yes, Dustin can still go.
And Claudio's one of the best in the world.
So
still doesn't deserve to be Ring of Honor World Champion right now, but
who else they got?
I mean, Jay Lethal.
I think what Lethal's fucking around with the other who's he keeps challenging. He's trying to get to Wardlow.
Yeah, but why?
I don't know. But enough of that. Let's get to the good show. I want to get to the good show.
This one?
Yep.
All right. Go ahead. Talk about it.
Sorry, I had to remind somebody about a bedtime. What a start, dude. It started out great. It started out with Edge. I don't think it started with Edge, but that's where I remember because that's what caught my attention was the Judgment Day's in the ring talking shit about Edge and talking about everybody. So Edge comes out. He's like, what's up? You didn't finish me off. I'm still here. And they're like, oh, you're so stupid and you came alone. He goes, I obviously didn't teach you everything that I know because if you knew me, you knew I didn't come alone. The damn Mysterios came up behind with kendo sticks and start beating the shit out of them.
And what's up with that? With all of a sudden like Rhea walking up to Dominic and being like,
and he gave her the kendo stick. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
And then Edge and Ray had to pull him out of the ring.
Like, what are you doing?
He's mesmerized by her, man.
I don't know, Buddy Murphy's gonna come whoop your ass. He don't care if you're almost his brother-in-law or not.
Anyways.
So that, and then you had, I thought the Angle stuff was good. The Angle, the Angle with the drinking the milk at the end when he spit out the liquor. So Angle came out in the ring. The Alpha Academy came out and they interrupted him. And then then the shoes off. The shoes off between Angle. You shoes. No, you shoes. You shoes. You shoes. Shoes. I'm like, so stupid.
Horrible.
So they wanted him to be an alpha member for the night. He said no, so they were getting ready to jump him, and then
Honorary Pittsburghonians.
which they did a
Prop.
call, which they did back they did a call back to Friday night, which we forgot to mention, where the Eli Drake, I keep calling him Eli Drake, Max Dupree, they were doing the little photo shoot, and all of a sudden you hear Hit Row from the bus, and they thought it was Hit Row, and they spray painted the bus. And Hit Row came like, "What are you doing? That's not even our bus." And so it was a Street Profits bus. So the Street Profits came out. They're still pissed off because their bus got sprayed Friday, apparently. So they're still looking for a fight. And so they made up a rule. They made up a stipulation that if Alpha Academy won, that
Angle had to become part of the team.
Yeah, so obviously they lost, and then they were trying to get Angle to drink with them at the end, and he drank what was in the cup, and he spit it out. He's like, "Oh, that's awful. I got something better." And he comes out with the bottled milk and gives it to him, and they're doing the whole bottled milk thing. That, and I like that Edge came in with the pictures, and that first one was blank. He goes, "I got pictures for you." He goes, "I'm not falling for that again." He goes, "What?" And he flips it over. He goes, "No, we're just walking down memory lane. Oh, it's cool." He goes, "Oh, okay." And he flips us up. Every card after it had stupid shit written back,
including the one that says "I suck."
And then he goes,
and then like he shows it to Mysterios, and he turns around and he's like, "Oh, sweet Christmas!"
He's a Jiminy Cripe Skull Christmas. What is that?
He got me again.
What are you? What? You taking promo lessons from Roman suffering succotash?
It was just it was hilarious though.
Yeah, it was. It was good. It was a good callback to their old feud. It was good. So all the Angle stuff, the Angle and Edge stuff made me laugh. That was good. You got winners. We got new WWE Tag Team Women Champions and Raquel Gonzalez and Leah.
Go.
Yeah. So
and you know, like obviously we got the Jey Uso versus Kevin Owens before that.
Yeah.
It was Jimmy Uso.
And then because he didn't hit Kevin. Sammy wouldn't hit Kevin with the chair, which cost him the match. We can't forget that the Miz is all paranoid that he kept seeing Dexter Loomis everywhere.
When he drove off in the car, he's in the back with the light. You know what that reminded me of, though? That reminded me of when Hogan looked in the mirror and saw Ultimate Warrior.
Oh God, this Dexter Loomis thing is hilarious to me, dude. But we started.
It's just it only goes so far.
I don't know. We said that a lot about a lot of things, and it still makes us laugh. But the Elias thing, and I mean, it's done now, but that went further than we thought it would.
Well, that went further than we thought it would because Vince was still in charge.
Yeah,
because you saw how quickly he ended that.
But it was funny. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, sure.
We've got, so we started the evening with a street fight between Owens and Riddle. I mean, Rollins and Riddle. They're kicking ass in the parking lot. We started the night off with that.
Right.
And then we get to, because these two can't be in the same place at the same time, we got to send Graves back there to do an interview and keep them apart and, you know, what's going on. So they're talking shit. And then at the end of the interview, they say, okay, they're cleared. And Rollins goes, "Hey, Riddle, can you still hear me?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm still here." because it pissed Rollins off when he said, "The only man in your family is Becky." I'm like, so Rollins is all mad. So he goes, "Hey, Riddle, you still hear me?
Want to talk about families?
You want to talk about family? Oh, we ain't talking about, oh, we can't, because you ain't got one, because your wife and kids left you because they didn't want to be around your bitch ass anymore." I'm like, he went in. I was like, oh my God.
And I want to know how much of that, like, because you know that there was a while there that Seth and Riddle would not talk to each other.
What do you mean?
So when Riddle was married, his now ex-wife, went up to Seth Rollins and told him that he was a piece of shit at one point. And it caused some serious backstage heat between Seth and Riddle, and And like, now that Riddle's not with her anymore, he went and he actually like smoothed everything over. So I'm wondering like how much of that was, okay, this is what I'm going to say. This is what I'm going to say back. This is what, and how much of it was Seth just going, you know what? I'm going for it. Because Riddle said, what the fuck did you say to me?
That's how I'm trying. Like I said, it's that razor. That's that razor blade, though. How much did he know? And was that reaction shoot? Was it a work? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But I mean, like that moment where they dropped an F bomb, you know that they had the 30-second delay or whatever. Like,
He dropped it twice.
oh yeah, yeah, but they bleeped them both out.
Yeah.
So I mean, they did what the censors require.
And that's where I'm, like I said, and that's where we came with like Chucky can say fucking shit. They're not bleeping shit out, but I guess that does make sense with the TV 14 and the TV
Well, but
MA,
Raw isn't even TV 14 right now.
and they're not going to be. I think they said that they were talking about it, but they scrapped that idea.
If they can get away with doing what they did last night, they don't have to. In fact, you could just sit there and beep, 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 whatever you want, and it's going to sound like they're swearing, but it could be them sitting there saying, I really like talking to you, man.
So I was on, was it Facebook or TikTok that this WWE had released you remember when they got the letter from USA about DX and DX said, we will not say fuck and shit, and they were bleep it out. This one had them actually, they didn't bleep it out. So they were really cussing.
That's funny.
So what was the main event?
The main event was the women's tag team.
Yeah.
And it was Io Sky and Dakota Kai versus Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah.
So what do you think? So you think the right team went over? You think was it too soon for Io Sky and Dakota Kai? Or do you think, because you can't say it's NXT because they're all NXT chicks.
I think that it was done the way that it was specifically because nobody was giving Aaliyah and Rodriguez a shot. And they did it because they kept being like the second chance team, right? It was, oh, we just lost this team to injury. Oh, we just lost this team to injury. Oh, we just lost this team. And somehow they made it to the finals. So, of course, in that situation, they're massive underdogs.
Yes.
And what do you do with massive underdogs? You try to get them over by giving them the W. Do I think they'll hold them long? No. I think next Monday they'll lose them to Io Sky and Dakota Kai.
I don't know about next Monday.
I would think that it would be pretty quick. Now, granted, I mean, obviously the women are in a 6-way or I guess trios match.
Yeah.
Using the term from the other brand. That they're in a trios match against Bianca, Alexa, and Asuka, who beat Hometown Talent on Monday night.
Who the fuck were they? Yeah.
Yeah, completely unnecessary is what they were. They literally looked like they were right out of wrestling school.
So what do you think about what Michael's saying, that these guys are pretty much just placeholders till Naomi and Sasha get back?
See, I don't know about that right now. And if I had to guess, I would say that like anybody that was expecting them to show up was sorely disappointed on Monday. Because like we all probably thought that they could possibly show up, at the end. And I thought that when Io Sky and Dakota Kai hold up those championship belts, that's when all of a sudden you're going to hear the music hit and feel the glow as they come down to the ring and hold their belts up. And I know that you said, but they throw their belts down. It's for optics. They're gonna have a pair of belts that they're gonna bring down as well. Speaking of belts, rumor is that Triple H is redesigning all the championship belts again.
Well, that makes sense for NXT, especially if they're going to be unifying all the titles. But do you think it'll make it to the main roster as well?
I do.
I hope they redo that damn Intercontinental belt because I don't like it.
I would almost think that they're going to do all of them. They might not do the U.S. Championship belt, but they might. I would like for them to go with more classically looking designs, like Winged Eagle. And you can redesign Winged Eagle to put some red and some blue on it, especially if you're going to have one champion versus both champions.
Mm-hmm.
I could see them doing that. I could see them incorporating the like with the NXT belt, actually incorporating a little bit more of the trying to do a design that actually makes it look like it's all encompassing for NXT. But like the Intercontinental belt, yeah, you can redesign it. I'm fine either way. The tag team belts, like if you're only going to have one set of tag team champions, then make one set of belts at this point. Like there's no reason. And for all I care, they could sit there and have the leather strap that's on it. One half could be red, one half could be blue, and you could keep the same plate. I don't care.
Mm.
Like if you're going to have one set of champions, incorporate something that really drives home the idea that this is Raw and SmackDown's champion. But I kind of like the Universal Championship design, the WWE Championship design, the black one. I don't really care about the red one or the blue one.
Yeah.
But the black one I think looks fine. Especially if it's got real diamonds and everything else in it. Like that's a pretty big championship. The women's championships, they're just smaller versions of the men's championships.
Yeah.
So like I'm okay with that too. I don't know if they need to redesign the belts, but with the UK, with the NXT ones, I could see doing that. And again, when it comes to only having one champion, then I would want one belt at this point.
Yes.
If you're going to separate them, which they really haven't given a way to do that. There isn't really a way to do it right now, because you're not sitting there saying, "Oh, I'm only putting the Raw Championship up," because that demeans the championship.
Yeah.
So of course, does it demean it more than how they did it the last time, where they put both belts together and then all of a sudden a week later they said, "Hey, Triple H is the champion on this brand." So which one demeans it more? So it's a tough spot to be in. Clash of the Castle, there are a lot of rumblings now going on that this is the first time that someone's actually thinking about taking the belt off of Roman. And I think that we'd all agree that after Drew ended up getting his first 2 title reigns with no fans in the stands, that he really does deserve the opportunity to be a world champion with fans. And doing it in Cardiff would blow the place sky high. Same thing with and I love the idea of Gunther versus Sheamus at that show.
I was hoping they would hold it like Survivor Series. We were saying Gunther and Bobby Lashley, but the more I think about it, but it's heel, and I think they were trying to make a face turn for Sheamus somewhat on Friday.
I don't think so. Sheamus is going to get a face pop in Cardiff, but at the same time, I want Gunther to go over here. I want Gunther to hold that belt until Survivor Series, and I would like to see him versus Bobby. But I don't know if I want Bobby to hold that belt that long. The cool thing right now is that they've elevated that United States Championship to points that it really hasn't been at in 25 years. So I'm okay with what they're doing with it. I'm okay with what Walter or Gunther's doing with the Intercontinental belt. If you want to turn Roman Reigns babyface, the best guy to do it against is Gunther.
Yeah, but he's still getting babyface pops anyway.
Who, Roman?
Mm-hmm.
Right, but while he's getting the "I'm so good at being the bad guy that you're cheering me," it doesn't mean that they're babyface pops, because when he still sits there and he does something dastardly, you boo him.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just know that he's so good in his role that they can't help but cheer him for it. Like we've all seen the TikTok video of the baby mean mugging him, and him sitting there like giving the baby the mean look too, and you just don't get that anymore because that was a house show.
Yeah.
Like Roman's just not doing house shows anymore. So I don't know. I think that there's a 30% chance that Roman loses this weekend, and I think that the real root of it is that you're never going to see a champion go 2 years again. And he literally passed 2 years, and they're going to have the 2-year celebration on Friday. So I could totally see him losing on Saturday.
I'd be fine with that.
I think it's time. You know, and if they figure out a way to split the belts up after that, that's great. You know, but like we haven't even really seen Paul Heyman on TV recently.
Since he was out when they got put through the table at the pay-per-view.
Well, exactly. But I mean, like, you know, he probably sitting there going, man, I've been on TV every week for 2 years. I think it's time for a vacation.
Yeah, true.
You know,
he deserves it.
And you know, even with him, you know, the funny thing is like Triple H was on Logan Paul's podcast, and he was sitting there talking, and like, you know, they brought up Paul Heyman, and Paul Heyman, I think it was Logan Paul's. And they brought up Paul Heyman, and he's one of the greatest minds in wrestling. You know, it's just sometimes egos get in the way, and when they do, that's what causes us to have like moments where him and Steph or me and him or whatever, we butt heads because we all think we know what's best for business. But the truth is that like he's not in a position to tell me what to do. I am in a position to tell him what to do.
Yeah.
So, but they used it. But you know, when they went to Vegas for SummerSlam, he did the tryouts, and Paul Heyman was there sitting there talking to all the people trying out. You know, so they know what they've got with him, and I wouldn't be surprised if his contract is like a consistently renewed thing.
Oh yeah. They'd be dumb to let him go.
But Tino, I'm about talked out tonight.
Yeah, they'd be dumb to let him go because if he rolls over to AEW,
he ain't rolling over to AEW.
But if he did, that'd be a bad thing. I don't think they would beat WWE, but I think that they would be better than they are.
Dude, the whole beat WWE, like I tried to post this in the Facebook group last week. I said, you know, Raw has now been over 2 million more than once since SummerSlam. Okay, Raw hadn't been over 2 million in over a year. Since SummerSlam, they've had it twice now. They had the episode directly after SummerSlam, which was technically really the first of the new era, right? And they did like 2.2 million viewers for that one, and they did 2.05 or whatever this week. So I think it's the third week out of 5 weeks that they've actually been over 2 million viewers, which means ratings are up, right? SmackDown was at 2.4 million viewers. And so when we talk about AEW's carved out their niche. They hit 1.2 million because they announced 2 WWE guys going for the championship. And then they only gave us 3 minutes of that, right? After that, the ratings went right back to where they always are, which is right at that 950 to 1 million viewers, and that was it. NXT, however, has now gone from like 630 to 730,000 viewers. Because even that, people want to see this whole Triple H era and everything else. You need to move your head to the left. There you go. Your light is like, and probably like making everybody see it, which isn't good. So I mean, like, AEW peaked already. And now what they're doing is they're trying to throw things together to try to gain more of an audience instead of, and I'm going to say this, instead of building their storylines the way that they need to, because, and the reason why I say that, and the reason why I mean it, is because they're getting ready to walk into a pay-per-view where we literally sat there and said, 4 days ago, they didn't have any matches. You know what I mean? Whereas you look at WWE and suddenly you're sitting there going, okay, yeah, they've got the women's three-way tag team match. They've got Drew versus Roman, which they've been promoting since SummerSlam. They've got actually since like a week before SummerSlam. They've got, Sheamus versus Gunther, which has been building. Even though they did kind of get to that one a little bit later, like it's been 3 weeks now, but it's 3 weeks of building. The Bobby Lashley, he's facing somebody at the show, right? I don't know, maybe not. But my point is that the booking seems to be more long term, seems to be more storyline driven and everything. I mean, like over the past 2 weeks, they've turned Kevin Owens babyface, and he really isn't babyface. It's just, and this is what I was saying last week. He's a tweener in the best sense, because you put him up against the Usos, he's a babyface. But if you put him up against Ricochet, he's a heel. And it's really the first time in pro wrestling that it works. Because Steve Austin was a babyface where he was a heel. He wasn't a tweener. Now, granted, he went from being a heel to all of a sudden overnight being the biggest babyface in the NBA. Don't get me wrong. But they realized it, they turned him, and they went with it. With the prize fighter gimmick, he doesn't have to be a good guy. He doesn't have to be a bad guy. He just has to be Kevin.
Or it's kind of like a Stone Cold character, is what it is.
Well, it is, but again, the difference is that if you put him up against Ricochet, he's going to be the dastardly bastard that does whatever he can to get the W. When you put him up against Jey Uso, he's going to do exactly the same thing, except you're going to cheer him for it because you want Jey Uso to get what's coming to him.
Good point.
So, but anyway,
that's all I got.
Yep, I'm done too. So why don't you take us out of here?
All right, folks. I want to say thanks, you guys, for sticking in the audience. Michael, somebody else.
Michael, Joe, Andrew, the other people that never said hello.
Yes, thank you guys for sticking around. You can catch that fool on the Twitter. He is at he is blah, 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 blah. He is Rob Potsy.
No,
he's Potsy. You got so many fucking handles. Okay, so you're Potsy on Twitter. I'm HootieFan91 on the Insta. I'm SC Tino. He is Rob Potsy.
I have so many handles. You're SC Tino. You're HootieFan91. You're not Tino Gray on anything.
That's it. On my Facebook, I am. On Facebook, I am.
You fucker. You're sitting there telling me that I have all these handles. You have a different handle for every single one.
I have 3 handles. I have my name, I have HootieFan91, and SC Tino.
Yeah. I have Potsy, Rob Potsy, and Rob Potsy. I don't have more than you.
Junior High Horrors and Pots and Pans, and you got all this Hootie. Yeah. Anyway, you can check the show out on Twitter, where Potsy and Tino, Facebook, where the Potsy and Tino show. Adam's House Cats, thank you for our theme song, which is a wrestling song. You can get that on iTunes for 99 cents. 99. We will say, always, you can catch us right here on Tuesday nights on the Pots and Pan Network, the Potsy and Tino show. Please give us thumbs up, like, and subscribe, and buy our shit. And
do me a favor, send a little retweet on that awesome promotion message that went out earlier tonight. That'd be great. Yeah. Everybody, thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.
Macho Man. I almost said woo. I was like, Macho Man. Then we are thinking. Ooh, yeah, dig it.